Hello Guardians, it's that thundering guy. Happy festivities. I hope you enjoy the new year. Uh, this is gonna be my last video for 2017, and I wanted to make sure it's the last one because I wanted to end in a high note, if that can be said. Alright, so I want to discuss a problem that had the Destiny community in an uproar for the last 2 years, and that's what's going on with game and the DLC content. What's going on with these prices? Why is content that seems to be already in game still being locked behind paywalls? You know, I, it's something that really got everybody upset. I'm not gonna say especially me, but it's definitely did not make any sense. And I was about to ride the hate train on Bungie until I came across a video on YouTube. And this video is basically the rise and fall of Bungie, figuratively speaking. So what happened is that, well, before that, I want to say something before I get into it. And what I want to say is that, well, how should I say this? The purpose of any business or any industry is to make money. It doesn't matter what product they're selling, their aim is to make money out of it. They need to eat too. Now the thing is how they go about making that money. That's the real issue. So let's get into it. So for example, back in the day, and by back in the day I mean way back in the day, Bungie made a statement about their business model, and they said that it wasn't a bureaucracy, it wasn't money focused, it wasn't just for the purpose of here's the game and it's done. No, they said that they wanted to make a relationship with the players. They wanted for it to be something that both the developers and the players could enjoy making and playing. So that brings us to Halo, and Halo was one of the best games. Is one of the best games to ever existed, because guess what? It puts the player first. It makes sure that you, as the player, are the focus of the game. And this was the business model. Most of the games back then were made like that. I mean, just look up the Bungie games before Halo or during Halo. They all pretty much represent that. They focus on the player. They focus on you having a complete game right off the bat and things like that. And there it was a great time. I mean, I'm a 90s kid, so I can relate to that. The internet wasn't a big thing in homes, at least. Always online wasn't really a big thing, and it's not like developers really had a chance back in the day to, if they get an issue like this, like fix it the way they do now. Because now it's like, oops, the game is done. Maybe they have no time, but we can patch it up afterwards. I mean, it's great that they can do that, don't get me wrong, but still feels kind of like cheating. So that brings us to Destiny, and make no mistake, for what it is, Destiny is a really fleshed out, very well done game. The gameplay is really solid as far as shooter goes. Each gun feels unique, and that's basically on a legendary or exotic state. But each gun feels unique in when you shoot. You can feel the recoil. You can see the how shall I say it? You have to adapt to each gun to make the best out of it. The graphics are actually really good for a shooter game, for a open world game. I guess I should say they're not crispy real life. I'm confusing these people with real things. Good, but they're really good for what they are, or for what the game is at least. the player base, or at least the fan base, or whatever, the community. Yeah, let's go with the community. It's actually a really fun one to play with. I mean, I have played games with a lot of people while playing Destiny, while trying to raid, and trust me, those are seriously some of the best groups I've ever seen. Now, granted, every community has those that we don't want to talk about, because we don't like them. Okay, they ruin the experience for everyone, so we don't talk about them. But for the most part, they are really good. Now, the story of Destiny is it's a sour spot, a very sour one, because, well, I'll get into that. No, you know what? I'll get into it right now. So what happened with Destiny story was that Bungie, after Bungie finished Halo 3, I believe it is, they started developing their new game, which was Destiny. And I'm guessing that they realized that they would need help from a developer. No, I mean not a developer, a publisher. So they made a contract with Activision. I'll get into the details of said contract in a second. But sometime near finished development, something happened, and the entire storyline for Destiny had to be rewritten, and from that we got vanilla Destiny. But guess what? The developers, they still figured out a way to sort of give us the story that they wanted to tell. Sorry. There was the Grimoire, which if you could piece together all of it, you will get the amazing story that is actually the Destiny universe. And speaking of, go on YouTube, watch all the lore channels on Destiny, because those guys, they really made a great job at putting the entire thing together in a way that we can understand it. So they definitely deserve a shout out. My name is Beef, Mailing Games. They made an amazing job. Those videos are really good to watch. So go give them a watch if you want to understand what's going on in Destiny. But back to what's going on. And then we have to talk about the DLCs of Destiny. I mean, if we could talk about the story, we have to talk about the DLCs. And my personal opinion on it is that, just like the rumor says, the Dark Below, House of Wolves, those were actually part of the disc as it came. Those were meant to be part of the original game on Destiny. But for reasons that I do not know, they got cut. And this is all coming back to that phrase I said the purpose of any industry and any business is making money. Because I read the contract on Activision, their business model. If you play multiple games, as you like to play shooter games, I know you're gonna recognize it, but the business model of them is money first, players never. And it's starting to show up right now. I mean, the microtransaction things are killing us, like literally. Eververse was never meant to. I mean, actually, it was meant to be a part of Destiny, but not as it is. Not the way it is right now. Because right now it's like they're trying to turn Eververse into the main thing, and it's not flying with us, with anybody, And speaking of the story and Eververse, let's go back to the Bungie business model against Activision's business model. And let's go back to the story as well, to those later times on development of Destiny. One of the most important figures on Bungie left and that's right after that. That's when the main campaign got changed out for Destiny. In fact, this actually is true. It's not a rumor. Some of the first players, some of the first testers for Destiny, they went on record to say after the game was released that the campaign that they played through during testing was actually very different from what was left from that which was released. So there you have it. My best bet is that's why that figure from Bungie left, because he said no, this isn't the game I wanted to make. So Activision basically. Oh, speaking of Activision, let me tell you a little bit about the contract between Activision and Bungie. Now this contract is on the internet. Go read it for yourself if you want to. I have no problem with it. But there are three things that I like to point out of this contract that just it's a big no. Okay, first thing that I would like to point out. In the contract states that Bungie and Activision will be on a 10-year contract for the Destiny franchise, and that in this contract, Bungie is to make 4 main games and 4 main expansions each every other year, i.e. Destiny, the main game, will be released once every 2 years, and it will get a big expansion again once every 2 years. Now, if this model seems familiar, I like to also remind you that Activision is also the publisher for the Call of Duty franchise, or at least it was. I'm not exactly sure. I know it was. And this is why we got Call of Duties basically every year, because they, as far as I know, they had 2 different developers work on a Call of Duty title, and each one will be released every other year. That's why we got Black Ops, then Advanced Warfare, then Black Ops 2, then Advanced Warfare 2. You get that. And they wanted to apply the same model to Destiny, but this time they just did it with an expansion, which is why. And this is basically what's going on. I mean, oh, another thing I'd like to point out. It states that Bungie is a developer, and as the developer of the game, it keeps the concept rights. But, and this is a very big but, Activision, for now and ever, until decided by both parties, will keep the publishing rights of the Destiny franchise, i.e. even if Bungie can make any more games of Destiny, they cannot sell them without Activision's approval. And in that same thing, it also says that Activision will decide how and when the Destiny franchise, will be sold. And this brings us back to this content being locked out of behind a paywall. Because if the Dark Below and the House of Wolves were part of the Destiny, of the main game Destiny, the main campaign, at least, then Activision could have simply said, no, you know what, you're gonna sell this behind later, and you're gonna put it behind a paywall. And here is the interesting, more important part. It states very clearly that if Bungie and Activision were to ever have a disagreement or have a difference of opinion, Activision has the tiebreaker vote. That means for Bungie that they don't have a say. That's basically what it says. They don't have a say on how the game is gonna be made or sell. I.e. Bungie is responsible for making a full game at least once a year. Perfect. Bungie will decide on how to sell, Activision will decide on how to sell the game. And Bungie doesn't have a say. They can decide to crop up the game and sell it by scraps, and they can do it according to the contract. I'm not gonna get into the quarterly bonus that they get because I don't care about that. But yeah, that's it right there. Now this is my personal belief, but this is why Destiny is so cropped up from what we should have gotten in the first place. Because Activision said, no, we're making as much money out of this as we can. And the sad part is that we've been getting Bungie all the hate for what they've done, and yet they have done the best to give us the game that they wanted to. And we just hated on them. Literally, we hated on Bungie for just doing the best that they could. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, no. Okay, look at the expansion pass. If somebody was to tell me that Curse of Osiris was part of the original game on Destiny 2, I could believe it. Because to me that looks like content that should have been on the main game. Even if it was an extra after campaign thing, trust me, I would have believed it. But this is me, my personal belief on what is going on. So please don't hate on Bungie. I mean, sure they have done some weird stuff with the game, but I don't completely blame Bungie for something they don't have a choice on. Remember, Activision has and always has had the tiebreaker vote on it. So Bungie doesn't have much of a choice in how the game is sold, even if they make it. But yeah, fellas, please, just look back, think about the game, think about the state of the game. I'm not encouraging you to buy the next game or the next expansion. I definitely will because I actually like the game a lot. But if you don't want to, that's entirely up to you. Anyways, guys, if you did watch, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment. I wish you all a happy new year and a happy end of the year. I hope you have a great time, whatever you're doing. I don't know what I'll be doing. That's kind of sad. But yeah, it's the Thundering Guy again. Subscribe if you like this. Subscribe if you want to see more videos, or at least just give me a like or give me something in the comment. And thank you for everything, guys. I'll see you in the next year when I don't know what I'll be doing.